Howdy watch fans, Lux Neophyte here with episode 8, and this episode is about the one and only. No, not some sappy dedication to a significant other. I'm talking about the one. You know, your first love. The watch equivalent of Helen of Troy, but instead of launching 1,000 ships, it launched 1,000 shipmen from retailers across the globe. And for me, the one was a simple 1990 Seiko Scuba Quartz watch. Stick around so I can make a formal introduction. So judging by the fact that you are watching an obscure watch video on YouTube, you too have been bitten by the watch bug. No doubt you have spent more money than what your friends and family consider normal or sane. And whether you admit to it or not, you are a watch nut, a watch addict, a watchaholic. And to be honest, so am I. No shame in that. But let me ask you, what put you on the path? For me, it was the very first watch purchase I made when I was an awkward kid with an even more awkward haircut. And this march down memory lane starts in the summer of 1990 in the far-flung city of Yamato, Kanagawa, Japan. So as a kid, I was fortunate enough to be shipped to Japan for the summer, spending time with distant relatives and hanging out with cousins, dutifully playing the noble role of the awkward, chubby, foreigner cousin from the good old US of A. Now realizing some of you may not yet have been born in 1990, I'll save that lament for another day when I can properly cry into a pint of beer. But where was I? For me, my descent into a love for watches started with a purchase of the 1990 Seiko SBBL007. A Seiko scuba diver powered by the 5H25 quartz movement. You know, one of the coolest aspects about owning a Seiko is the serial number and your ability as a collector to interpret the manufacturing date of your watch. Now, how cool is it to be able to track the born-on date for your favorite watch? And if you have an older JDM model, how cool is it to be able to peruse the domestic catalog for your particular watch? So my particular Seiko has a serial number 9503000 with the movement number 5H25, and just by popping this into one of the many interpreters online for Seiko, you get the manufacturing date. Now how awesome is that? People still say awesome, right? Now, I was lucky enough to be able to track down the 1990 catalog from the SeikoGuide.com website. And after digitally flipping through the pages, we come to the SBBL007, and lo and behold, it had a matching STBL007. How about that? A his and hers diving combo. And for those of us who've already perused one of these catalogs, you know that these things are a treasure trove of information. Seriously. As long as you are able to read or interpret a bit of Japanese, you get so much information about your JDM watch. For example, a little peek into this section. We have Taiji Seino, or the magnetic resistance. It's rated at Suiko ni, or level 2. And a little digging into the back of the catalog. Basically, level 2 means 60 Gauss to 20 Gauss of resistance, depending on whether it's a DC magnetic field or AC magnetic field. Looking a little bit closer, and we see this part where it says Sensui yo Bosui, which is waterproof for diving, and here it's rated to 200 meters. So my Quartz Scuba is a pretty simple diver. In terms of basic stats, my Quartz diver measures 39 millimeters wide, about 41 millimeters with the crown. It's about 43.5 millimeters lug to lug, and it's about a 19 millimeter lug width. Now it's a quartzy, which is my own highly technical word for quartz-based watches. It's a diver, obviously, and a slim 10 millimeters thick because it's a quartz watch. Now the watch is usually on a blue and white NATO strap, and it puts it right at a very light 61 grams. The combination of a 39mm width, 10mm thickness, and 61 grams make this a very easy fit on most wrists. Granted, compared to the ever-growing size of the modern divers, it seems this 1990 quartz diver is a bit too sedated. But it wears so easily that there's very little complaint from wearing it all day. Honestly, it's one of the most comfortable dive watches I have. Now, even though it was like a bazillion years ago, I remember the exact place that I bought this watch. It was at a discount store near Tsukimino Station in Yamato City called Olympic. Olympic is one of those discount stores stocking everything from groceries, bicycles, pet food, and of course, discounted watches. I remember visiting the store a number of times, and each time I would stop at this particular stainless steel diver in the display case. I can tell you exactly what kept me fixated on this watch. It was the white dial with the subtle green lume, and of course, that unique half blue and white polycarbonate bezel with the lume pip at 60. So this watch is 30 years. It had its fair share of scratches and bumps, but that 120 click blue and white bezel is still my favorite part of this watch. It has gold indices on the blue side and black indices on the white side, so you can imagine how the combination of the stainless steel case, white dial, and blue and white bezel captured a kid's heart way back in the summer of 1990. Based on the 1990 catalog, we know that the watch retailed at about 38,000 yen. Which when adjusted for FX in 1990 would have been about $257, which when adjusted to inflation would be about $510 in today's dollars. Crazy. Now thankfully, it was at a discount store, so I don't think I paid that much, not much more than 20,000. Still, 20,000 yen, that was a pretty penny for a kid. And I have to admit, I ended up spending my entire summer vacation pocket money on my very first serious watch purchase. And it's good to know that little has changed in terms of my spending habits after all these years. Now these little quartzy divers from the 1990s have very little intrinsic value these days. You can pick them up on eBay slightly above the USD 100 range, but for me there is a remarkable amount of sentimental value. This one was the one. This watch bounced around a kid's wrist all through the 90s. It was perched on my desk as I took college exams. I wore it when I graduated high school, my first day at uni, and sat there on my desk as I timed tests and study sessions. At some point in the last 30 years, this little watch went into a store for keepsakes and then came out of hiding a few years ago. I'm so happy to find it again. Now to anyone else, it's not that much to look at. And sure, it's a simple plastic quartz movement, but it's a hardy watch with plenty of 90s charm. Somehow over the years, it has become much more important to me, graduating from a pretty watch in the display case to a keepsake. A tangible block of stainless steel and plastic with memories. So many wins, so many disappointments, so many miles on the wrist, and so many memories in between. So, there you have it, my one. The Seiko that eventually brought me on the path to making obscure videos on YouTube and hours crawling through watch pages and e-commerce sites. Now that I've shared my story, I would love to hear a little bit more about yours. So, do you have a watch that vaulted you into collecting? If so, share in the comment section below. And like we always say around these parts, whatever you wear on your wrist, whether it's a Seiko or a Rolly, do people say Rolly still? Anyways, in the immortal words of the great Humpty Hump of the digital underground, do what you like. Peace.